food need to be pleasure, not need to be a burden. If I see all this modern diets and leaving whole food groups out of your daily nutrition plan, well, I don't say. I think that is not right.
We can learn from nature itself. The lesson is there. Because we are not alone in this space that we are, we can learn from other animals. The lion needs to eat the antelope to be alive. We know this. But how many times do we see the lion killing the antelope and just littering them on the street, in the forest, therefore, not eating? The lion never do that. Because there need to be a balance. The lion didn't need to go to Harvard University to know this. Nature is everything that you need to learn everything that you want.
You see, even now with AI and quantum computing, that now many things come where in the past more spiritual people were talking about. With quantum computing, they give the computer some assignment, and the computer came with much more back that they say, where did he get this answers? Because quantum computer is filled with the data, right? The data, what is available, but this answer, what came back, that could not be from the data. So where did he get it? From another dimension? And in science, they already say they already confirm more or less 12 dimensions. I think it is an infinite number, what we have.
Thank you so much, Tommy, for joining me today in Obehi Podcast. Of course, we have done the previous episode, and you see what we were discussing were really deep and really very important for me and for the community that we are serving. That is why we come back again, so that we can explore more into what you're doing. So, yeah, let's get started like this. Pretend that this is the first time you are coming to Obehi Podcast. Okay. Tell the people who you are. That is where we'll start from. Please go.
Okay, so, I'm Tommy. I'm original from the Netherlands, but for the last 25 years, I'm living in Southeast Asia. On the moment, I live in Laos. And I'm a lifestyle fitness coach. So my background, I had business. I be a consultant, an IT consultant, trading consultant. Did many other things. And sport was always my lifeline. So sport was my hobby, and I enjoyed very much. And I built up an impressive physique at that time. So when I moved to Thailand, people came in the gym and asked where I could help them, coach them. So for many years, I did personal training. And when I moved to Laos, I got many country directors, diplomats, GMs, CEOs, helped them all out because I was looking pretty fit for my age. And that's how I turn into life coaching, lifestyle coaching, because most people, they go on a diet, they start with some sport activity, but they don't stay consistent, right? They think that just motivation will help, but motivation will help you to start, but to make it a daily habit, you need some other qualifications for that. So that's what I more or less do.
You need other qualifications for that. So you said motivation can take you take you to a point, but to continue from there, you need more skills. All right. So, by the way, but people, today are very moved with the motivational videos out there. There is a lot of money that is being made because, it energizes the people to get started. So that, like you said, you get to a certain point and that doesn't move you beyond that anymore. You need to take more concrete action.
Yes.
All right. So we are going to be talking about holistic coaching, lifestyle coaching, wellness, and meditation. Those are some of the things that you are doing. You're actually doing more than that.
Yes.
So Give me a kind of a background into, I was talking of the holistic, the motivational industry just now, which is really very huge. So yeah, give us a kind of a background of that, because that is where you are,
Mm.
even though we're talking also about health. Yeah.
Yeah, well, for me in the Netherlands, I grow up, I say it always, maybe now these days not so politic correct, but with the import Dutch. So I was very blessed with people that came from Suriname, one of the former colonies, and Indonesia. So all my friends, well, not all, but 80% of my friends came more or less from these former colonies. And I always jokefully say, from when my friends were teasing, "Oh, you like the girls?" I said, "No, I like the food." And well, then you need some of the girls so that they can cook it for you, right? So from young age on, right? That's why I mention it in a jokeful way. I was always into real food, food that give pleasure to your body and to your soul, right? Food need to be pleasure, not need to be a burden. If I see all this modern diets and leaving whole food groups out of your daily nutrition plan, well, I don't say. I think that is not right. So in my coaching, I use also ancestral wisdom that go back for, let's say, thousands of years. And if you people forget the connection to body, mind, and soul, right? And in these cultures from Suriname, where you still have shamans, and Indonesia, they call it the white haji or the black haji. You could say in certain culture they will call it voodoo. And voodoo in movies, in the Hollywood movies, then it is always, of course, portrayed as something bad, but it is actually just natural a natural doctor that used the power of nature, so the laws of nature, how you can heal yourself, and also if you use it in a negative way, can hurt yourself or hurt others. But same as with hypnosis, you only can hurt others if they believe in it. And that is an other part than what I use in my coaching, that I say who you want to be, right? It is about being. So you must already align with your new identity. If you don't believe, so for people that want to lose weight, you must already believe and see yourself where you will be if you reach your goal and have your desired body composition, with a certain fat level, certain weight, and but you must be there already, like it is already did happen, and then it is way more easy. So then again, it is you must set it in yourself, and that's what I learned over the years with coaching, but also in the past with my friends. When I talk, they say you're always so convinced as it has already happened, and at that time I was not so aware with all the knowledge that I have now, that it is so important that you, when you want to reach a certain goal, if you want to, it's in business, it's personal goals, in your relation, you must be already the person that you see yourself as living the lifestyle, how you want to be.
What gave you the conviction, so that at least the other people that are see you, they can even see that you had this strong conviction in what you were doing? And of course, this is not a very common and of the classic Western lifestyle. You are coming from the Netherlands, okay, that is in Europe. That is not very typical of a European mentality, as it were. So tell me a bit about that.
But for me, I was I think 9 years, and then my first Indonesian friend uh, came on elementary school in my class, and we right away connected. And well, then you come at his home, his parents or other family. Many times the grandparents live there, and you hear things. You talk with the people. You absorb things, and so growing up with these new cultures, you get a different view. And so I learned to say from over the years, I say we are energetic beings that have a biological experience, because there's much more than we can explain. Because, like you already mentioned, in Western culture, they are so brainwashed that they take everything away. I even sometimes, so I'm not a Christian in the sense that I'm a Bible reading, church going person. I'm more in general interested in the spirituality that also is be used in different religion. And if you go to the core from the different religions, then the spirituality part is always the same. But in the modern Bible and Torah and the Quran, they always take certain part. They let it out of the quotation. Let's say it like that. They don't take it out of the Bible, but they let it out of the quotation, like it is not important. I always thought that the knowledge about reincarnation was something from Eastern philosophy. And actually, it is also in the Abrahamic religions. So for me, it is always like that, how you can integrate it. Don't make it a doom scenario, that the finger go up and from, if you don't do this, then that happen. In Buddhist, because I live in a Buddhist country, and when we talk with a teacher, so the monk, and for sure my wife, and then she have things about Buddhist and ask, and then he say, well, it depends on the moment. If you are ready for that now, then that is how it is, and you will evolve, you will grow, your spirit, your mind, your conscious will grow and develop. So what you see now as a truth can be in 5-10 years different. So that's why now with spirituality, then I say, and in quantum physics, they also say everything happened at the same time. You have no past, present, and future. The only thing is that we live in a certain moment, and that is the present moment. But even that, so many people have problem to live in the present moment, because in their mind, they're still thinking about their past being, and they fantasize already what could be in the future. But what can be in the future depending on how you live now, not tomorrow. If you don't change now, if you now don't take certain actions, then tomorrow is the same.
All right. I've got a question for you there, Tommy. I think what you're saying is very relevant. I know that it is very relevant within the Buddhist culture, the importance of now. But that is also actually very relevant in many indigenous religion, which the Buddhism is part of. And even by extension, Christianity could have been part of that too, only that it have been highly intellectualized by European, and then it becomes such a fantasy that take away the people from what they really are, and now the people are lost. Okay, a lot of people are lost in Africa, but also here in the West, a lot of people are lost too. And what is sort of containing the danger coming from religion is because the Western society is well-to-do, so people are not using the evil that is hidden in their hidden nearby. That a lot of anyway, I don't know if I really want to go there, but I want to say that why we don't see a lot of danger manifested in the name of religion in Europe is because the government is able to provide what the people need.
Yes.
But if they cannot provide it anymore, then we see the real evil that is hidden in the manipulation of religion. Anyway, that is just by the way.
Okay. Jump in quick, because, well, it is indeed not, I'm not here to talk just about religion, because I'm a lifestyle coach and not a religious teacher. I just talk where people lose it. And when you already say in the African culture, even there you have different religions, but they lose the connection with the core beliefs. Same as in the European lifestyle, Christianity is blend in with the core beliefs that they had in the past before the church came in, because the thing like a Christmas tree and getting the presents, there was already a celebration before this in the winter time to celebrate an offering for the coming harvest, and that is then integrated. So people losing the core connection with nature, and that's why they get lost. That's why now also in this new age I think the Generation Z, that grounding, and they have all this equipment of grounding. And for me, it is from just go in nature, put your shoes out and walk barefoot on grass on the beach or whatever. Get contact with the earth. The earth have different frequencies, and we need to connect with the frequencies. That's why also with Native Americans, they talk about Mother Earth, right? Same as in human, we always stay with a special connection with your mom. Okay, you have always somewhere relations totally fall apart, but in a normal, healthy family situation, you always keep a strong connection with your mother. It doesn't mean that your father is not important, but your father have a different role. But the connection with the mom, with the kids, will always be strong. And if we lose that you see I cannot speak for the African culture, but for the Western culture, and I see it also a lot in Asia, less than in the Western culture, people working to so much, living so separated from the true values, what keep us healthy. So in my coaching with longevity, then I also talk about there are more things than just eating right and play some sport, because most people 1 hour per day, if they do it every day, but it is mostly maximum 1 hour. So that is 7% of the day. But your family life, your social life, your sleep, right? Your sleep need to be somewhere between 7 to 9 hours, that you have a good quality sleep, because that is your recovering time, also for your soul. That's why you get your dreams, to process what everything happened on the day and stuff like that. And that is what keep us healthy and keep your stress level in a healthy way. People always say, oh, we need to do meditation and all this mindfulness to have no stress. No, we need some certain stress. I can tell you in my gym background, if I would not be with the right mindset for lifting extreme heavy weight, I could not lift it. You must go there under this weight and be totally confident that you will make a good lift. You must already be sure in your mind that you can do it. If you have a little doubt, you will not bring up the weight. So it is so much more than just the physical. The whole package would be there. And that is also, sometimes I advise people for side jump supplementation, but the word already say it. I tell them, go in the dictionary, look what supplementation mean. Don't make it replace. First, get your real food that was alive. And now these days, with all this promotion from this big corporations that say factory produced meat in the lab, and then with the bullshit about climate change, it costs way more energy to produce this meat, and the meat, it have no soul. It is not meant to be for us. It is factory food, and in the Western society, there's so much factory produced food that people eat 8% what is produced in a factory. It was never alive, so it will not touch us in our core and have a dialogue and give everything to your cells.
What do you mean by that? Could you expand more on that? I think people want to learn about that. That the food we produce at the factory are not us, therefore there might be some consequences. What are that?
Well, I say food need to be alive before it came on your plate, right? Any vegetable that grow in a soil and it feed from Mother Earth, and it have the frequencies that correspond with the frequencies from our body. So it will communicate with our cells, our genes, with our DNA. But if you have factory produced food, there is no energy. It is dead nutrition. The only time that it will feed you is because it gives you some pleasure feeling in your brain. And that's why you see so many ingredients on labels from factory produced food, because they put so many things in that give a trigger reaction on your brain. And that's why you like the food. I can tell you, when I was 5 years, I was in Asia and didn't had any trip back to my home country. And when I came back, my mind started to be crazy that I want to eat certain food. And I try, and they didn't give me the same pleasure anymore because the connection was not there anymore. So you can see that sometimes our they wash our brain with all the commercials and stuff like that. They Coca-Cola have nice commercials, and also with Christmas and stuff like that. That you get brainwashed, that it say that you get a certain feeling of happiness when you have your Coca-Cola, but it is because of the commercial, not because of the drink. I was using Coca-Cola in my young teenage years to clean up my bicycle, or when you some screws or whatever could not loose because they were oxidated, throw some Coke over it, and the screws clean up. Even the oxidation from the metal would clean up. And we are drinking that? That cannot be right. So for me, in general, I have just clean water or real milk. Now these days, I was talking with a client of mine, the milk that you have here. I remember from my youth, you had milk and it stay good for a couple days in a cooling. And then it gets spoiled, it gets sour, it is not consumable anymore, at least not for us humans. Now these days, milk stay good for 2 weeks. I had one time that I forget my bottled milk under the saddle from my motorbike. It's standing for 4 hours in the sun. And I thought, let's experiment. So when I came home, I put it in the refrigerator, and the next day it was okay. Not sour. And it stayed good for another 10 days. So you know that this milk is not milk. It looked like milk. It has the same color as milk, but it is not milk.
This actually made me remember what somebody was saying one time. The guy said, you go to the fruit market, the so-called fruit market, the green fruit sometime.
Hmm.
You see all these fruits that are always fresh all the time. And the person said, but how is it possible that these fruit are always fresh if they are actually natural fruit? Because natural fruit at the point, they get bad, no?
Yes.
Because there need to be bacteria in it that act on it that make it what it is. If the fruit are always fresh all the time, they look like plastic, because plastic, you don't get rotting. It's always fresh even in the next years to come. But normal fruit, if you pluck mango, if you don't eat it at a certain point, it start decaying. That is what it's supposed to do in our body.
Yes.
To decay and to ferment the element, our body, the body element out of the natural element, then everything become one and the same. But if the fruit is always fresh like that, I mean, when it enter the body, it's always going to be fresh. Today, it still go out that way. Nothing is going to happen in our body. The person was saying that. I was saying, there is a sense in that. But people are not paying attention, maybe.
No. That's what, and you say already fermented, right? So fermented foods are really healthy for our gut health. So that's why things like sauerkraut or from Korean kimchi, and there are many examples for that, and you can do many things. So, and you should not have over the week. People, for sure, in the weight loss scene, they always try to cut everything down to what happened on the day. Your body don't respond on the day. People not even aware that when you go to the toilet and you do your big drop, whatever a healthy person should be in the morning when they wake up, and not too long later, then you deposit your garbage. That garbage is from a couple days before, what you did eat a couple days before. And it is same that people, they lose total the connection with the body. So when I say when you feel hungry, are you really hungry or are you thirsty? And then of course they say, oh, I know when I feel thirsty. I said, no, you don't. Are you aware that in our history, We were when we were thirsty that we were looking for juicy fruit. Like, let's give now an example like watermelon or vegetable cucumber, very full of liquid. In the past, when you walk to your forest or whatever natural environment that you live, there is not always clean drinking water, right? And for the people in Africa, I don't have to mention that it is not always clean drinking water. The wells are contaminated. And so the most safe way is eating fruit. Mangoes is very high in liquid. So if we eat that kind of fruit, that was also because we were hydrated and we were needing uh, some liquid. So the body gives you a feeling that you are what we now would say hungry. And that's why I always say we need to get back to the connection between body and mind. Your body is talking to you, not in words. Your mind will translate the signals that it gets from the body into words so that you understand what is going on. What we and then coming back from living more in the present, be more aware what you are doing, how you live in the present moment. I tell people always to when you eat. Preferable with some other people you have conversation because then you don't stuff it in. You really can enjoy the food. You maybe even talk a little bit about the food when it gives a really pleasant sensation on your taste bubbles, right? You eat it and that's why in a restaurant they serve the dish that it looks good because it must be a pleasure from your eye, a pleasure for your nose when you smell the food. And then when you finally get it in the mouth, the pleasure of the flavor. And most people, they are not even aware. They do so many other things on the phone now these days, or watching TV or watching the computer, and then they stuff in the food. And when I ask the next day from, what did you eat yesterday? They cannot even remember. I remember my food, what I eat, because when I eat, I'm busy with eating and not 10 other things at the same time. And I did it always, even back in the Netherlands. I would not sit in front of the TV. And if the TV was still on, I would turn down the volume so that I would not be distracted. I want to be with my food.
Food. Of course, that is highly connected now to the wellness, which we said we're going to talk about. Within the food spectrum, if we were to look at it like that, I see that you are key so much on nature, natural food, because you say you only take water. Just now, maybe in comparison to maybe other beverages like alcohol or things like that. So I believe that is what you mean in that line. So could you maybe explain more why more people should prioritize more of natural food as against maybe the overprocessed food?
So people, if you see let's go back to 5 years when this whole, well, don't let's say anything, but when this COVID situation started. So then you know already my stance. So this COVID, it was so like a marketing gig. I hear from my friends and family in the Netherlands, it was everywhere. Every talk show, every radio program on TV. It was even on the bill in the road signs. Normally you would have traffic information, and now they were promoting coffee shots and stuff like that. And people that want to defend it, then they were putting it to after the First World War and the Spanish flu. They forget that the relation between a healthy body, a healthy immune system, was not there after the First World War. People were starving. They were living in war conditions. The whole body, the whole immune system was compromised. So a compromised immune system make you sick. And in the years that I did personal training here in Asia, and you had all these expats in the wintertime, Christmas, going back to the countries where the flu was there. And so they say, oh, I was getting sick because of the flu. I said, no, you was getting sick because your lifestyle was compromised. In the countries where you have the flu, it is winter, cold temperature. So people don't go that much out. No sunlight, no vitamin D. Then they have less physical activity because, well, again, they don't go for a pleasure walk because it's cold, snowy, raining. So the outdoor activities are not there, and we need outdoor activities. We need sunlight. I would not say same as where I live now, in the middle of the day that I go stand sunbathing, but I'm awake when the sun rises. So I have the early light from the first sun come up, and then do some garden work. So I'm in nature, and I connected with the earth. But most people, they forget that you had 100 years ago 2 scientists, I think both in France, Louis Pasteur for the germ theory, where the whole Western medicine is based on, and Bertrand Gilborn, or something like that. I pronounce it not right, but he was for the terrain theory. And most people are not even aware of the terrain theory, but JP Morgan was sponsoring the germ theory, because that will say medication. Medication is produced with something that comes from oil, from the petrol industry. So he was already investing in petrol. So that was nice that we could use more of what come out of the oil with other things. And that is how the promotion came for medication. So the Western medicine is always about treating symptoms. They don't make you better, because if they make you better, why you sit your whole life on medication? Right? And if I say that to people, then they get the same smile from, wait a moment. I said, are you waking up now? They don't treat you, they only treat symptoms. So I said, now think about the terrain theory. Let's take a fishbowl with a goldfish. The fish gets sick. The water looks dirty. Do you put medicine in the fish so that he don't have the symptoms anymore from the dirty water, or you will clean up the water? And then they never hesitate to say, I clean the water. I said, but why do you by yourself not clean yourself up from the inside out? Food is medicine. Let the medicine be your food. You will stay sick. So coming back on this, where I started actually, from the people that come back and then they sneezing and coughing, and then they say, oh, sorry, Tommy, I don't want to make you sick. I said, I don't get sick. I'm not in the same situation where you was. My immune system is not compromised. And then your body keeps you healthy. Look, when you have compromised food that is expired, in no time you will vomit, or you will be on the toilet and have some water running out of a place where it is normally solid. So your body take care of you as long you take care of your body. But most people don't take care of the body. Did I live like, I don't live always like that, right? I also had my party time, too much alcohol consumption, but still there was a certain balance. I was still eating right. I still had my gym, and I was still going in the outdoors. So some people in the same outgoing scene, they had always some shit going on the first couple days of the week after the weekend. And for me, I was fine, because I would just go back in my normal rhythm, in a healthier lifestyle, let's say like that.
The pharmaceutical, that is what we're going there. You see, all of these different arguments, they actually need a bit of time for explanation, because they really do need explanation, and they deserve the time for the explanation. Now, this is my curiosity, because you said the Western medicine or Western medical practices, they don't treat the whole body, which is actually the approach, because you are a holistic expert. No, you are not say let's just heal the eyes, because the problem might not really be the eyes. The eyes might be manifesting something
Yes.
of a problem that might be in the leg or somewhere in the brain.
Mhm.
So that if we heal the eyes now, of course we have succeeded in recovering the eyes, but it might go to the ear or go to the nose, because the real problem is still there.
Mhm.
Okay, that is the approach here in the West. I've interviewed a medical expert. Now he's retired.
Mhm.
He's a surgeon. Coming from Africa, and of course, you expect that he will approach it from an African perspective, even though he have gotten European medical training. And he talked of I will use the Italian word for it, scorporamento. Here, they treat the body like a machine.
Mhm.
Therefore, they look at a specific part of the body and treat that specific part of the body. Whereas you need to treat the entire human being, which is what is done in many traditional systems. In Africa, for example, in African traditional medical practices, they look at the entire human being. And this entire human being is not just the person. It can be the society.
Mhm.
It can be the extended family that is the problem.
Mhm.
So that you are just manifesting something that is not even you physically.
No.
In this case, they don't need to heal you as an individual. They heal you as an extension of a people. So that when that people is healed, then you are well.
Mhm.
So that now you can see that you don't even need to drink medicine.
No.
We just need to find out what is wrong with you, with your extended family,
Mhm.
with the land that you are working on,
Mhm.
with the community that you are interacting with. Therefore, they heal this community. Now you are aware.
Because when you were saying already from the people judge you, I was reading about how did he say that? Wait a moment. I am what you think I am. I am, because many times we are just us and play a role considered in the environment that we are, right? If you are on your work, you will be slightly different person than if you are with your wife or with your parents or with your. So there's a very deep truth in it. I am what you think I am. I am. Nobody is always 100% the same. And so when we talk about treating Africans, now also Eric Menendez. So he is have a program, Wild Fit. He had mental problems. He's an American, and by the school or in his neighborhood there was a medical doctor, but original from Africa. And then I can say from I always love when I was teasing my friend who was original from, or his parents were from British Guiana. And when you hear had some people from African origin because he lived in America, and he say, Tommy, do I look like, I'm not like the African, right? And then I say, dude, do you remember the song from Peter Tosh? As long you're a black man, you are an African, no matter where you come from, right? Because well, some shit happened in the history with forced migration, let's say it in a positive twist. But this African doctor bring him to his home village and let him treat by traditional African medicine men, or let's say more professional, the African doctor with African medical care. So he changed his food habits, and with his food habits, also his mental problem disappeared. So you can see that in many cultures, for sure, most part of Africa, I think maybe in big cities it disappeared a little bit, but how many people live in the big cities? I think still the majority live spread over the country. Same in South America. Okay, if you live in Sao Paulo or in Rio de Janeiro, maybe a little bit different, but for the rest, if you live in the province, you are still connected with nature. You still treat yourself with food that nurture you, that heal you, and not only the body. It is body and mind. It is never separated. It's always connected. And the times that I was talking and bringing sometimes this up with my clients when I was still doing personal training in a gym, they say, you are so much more. I said, I never said that I was a personal trainer. I always say, I'm your coach, your teacher, your guide. I said, I didn't see myself as a personal trainer. I see myself someone that loves sport and what sport can do for you in your life. Most people, they use sport for losing weight. I use my sport to stay healthy. At 65, I have no medication. I have not any health problems. My blood test work is always optimum, like an athlete, and I mean a top athlete. Uh, what do I train for now? I don't train to be big or muscular as possible. I train to function well. When I fall down, that I'm quick enough to take action and break my fall. So my basic that I learned in my young years for judo, that I know how to fall down without breaking my arms or legs. And functional fitness is important so that I can climb a tree. I have 140 trees in my garden, mango trees and all kind of fruit trees. You need to cultivate the trees a little bit. So I need to climb in the trees because the stairs are not tall enough. So I climb in the tree with my saw and brim the tree, that you get some branches away so that the light comes to the tree and that can give more fruit. And also sometimes let something in the tree. You give something or you leave it to nature, and then the tree gives more. I'm on the moment on a daily harvest for my mulberry. And sometimes I really, in my mind, the mind talk is there from, okay, no, this one I let hang. If necessary, I can pluck tomorrow. I have enough. I don't need to be greedy.
You are touching another aspect again. Um, the people that are very capitalist intensive, they don't see what is wrong in that. In the over-consumerism culture that we have today, where we are basically consuming the earth, not because we need it, but because we have the wrong mindset of what is the relationship between us and nature, which is actually what we are part of. I said, we can learn from nature itself. The lesson is there. Because we are not alone in this space that we are, we can learn from other animals. The lion need to eat the antelope to be alive. We know this. But how many times do we see the lion killing the antelope and just littering them on the street, in the forest, therefore, not eating? The lion never do that because there need to be a balance. The lion didn't need to go to Harvard University to know this. Nature is everything that you need to learn everything that you want. So all the food that we waste every day in the West, but of course now that culture is also sold to different parts of the world, we can never consume them. Why do we keep wasting them? Why don't we take what we want so that nature can reproduce again for us tomorrow? Is it possible for us?
It could be if the mentality change, right? You see it also, it come back in everything. So sometimes I bring a bag of mangoes, or I separate it in a couple smaller bags and give it to some people in the gym, or people that I know on my way to town or on my way to the gym. And most of the time they ask, how much, of course they want to compensate with money. And then I say, how much love you want to give me? I said, no, I didn't pay for it. I get it from my garden. And my garden is very generous to me. It gives me way more than I can eat. I give already to the family. And they also get more than enough. So I bring a little bit for people that I like. And it is, it is always about frequency. And now these days you see also much more about frequency healing. So they have already scientific research, and then with some classical Western music, that a certain music part from Mozart had a healing effect. So not all the music need to be a certain frequency. Now, a friend of mine, a good acquaintance over my years that he was working here, and he's a medical doctor, a Western medical educated doctor. But he already for the last 30 years also interested in, let's say, natural healing from nature. So frequencies and bring things back in balance. Same as with acupuncture, right? When you put the needles, it is to get the obstruction from your energy lanes away. So let's say it is a complex of highway and all connecting roads, but now there is road under construction. So then you get traffic jam because there's an obstruction. You have not the normal flow. And it's the same in the body. You get now all these operations for your blood flow, but actually it is structure water that is flow to your veins that transport your blood, not the other way around. That's why we are 70% water, right? Not the water that we drink, but structure water. Structure water need to be in the right frequency. Come again, get in nature, touch the ground. You not even need to always on bare ground. It can be with concrete, but then walk bare feet, not on your rubber shoes, because that isolate the frequency. But this doctor, my friend, he was using frequency to heal people, and he healed people with skin problems and with all kind of problems, even mental problems. And he says sometimes it conflict with what I learn, but I learn to put it aside. Science is evolving. Nothing is an absolute truth until you find something new. You see that now also with what's happening in space and stuff like that, with the Big Bang and all. Every time they find something new, what they thought was true. And I always say to people, what they thought was true was just a theory, because they didn't been there. Okay, they had some probes into space and they analyzed the data, but it is just analyzing data. It is just theory, right? Certain things is still not proven hardcore by tests that they can see it with the eye. Now you have this split test. So that's why I say you must see how you want to be, your new being, your new identity. Our thoughts create our identity. Our thoughts create our reality. And of course, we are not the only one thinking. So we have a personal reality and a community reality. That's why you can see with meditation that they did getting 1 million people and all meditate about peace, compassion. And crime rates were dropping down, where they had so this mass amount of people worldwide, so by different cities, the crime rate was going down because of the frequency that we were putting in the air around us. You can see that also in any religion, right? You see it in Buddhism that so many people come together for a mass religious, spiritual experience, but you see it also, well, every year in Mecca with the Muslims, that they all come there. And I speak with Muslims, they say, oh, the feeling when I was there was so amazing. Yeah, you had all the people that came there with the same mindset, all were connected here. And that create this power, but they don't see that. They just say, oh, it was so amazing, but they didn't know why it was so amazing. So that's
Beautiful.
why they manipulate us with all the commercials on TV, right? And now these days, I always say to people, don't forget, you get reprogrammed. How more you watch TV, it is not fun. I said, how they call it? What is on TV? A program. I watch a program. In your
And the
computer,
program is programming you.
yes, they put little blips, and they can reprogram your mind. It doesn't have to be always negative. It can also that they want to get people in a certain way. And so in an unconscious way, you get programmed. So then again, with meditation, if you get more aware, more conscious, and if you get more conscious, you can reprogram your subconscious mind. You have also Dr. Bruce Lipton, or Professor Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he had epigenetic. So epi means from above to your genes. So if people blame the genes, no, it is not in your genes. Or let's say most part is not in your genes. Maybe 5% is in your genes while you get certain conditions. The rest is lifestyle. Because otherwise, there are many examples from identical twins that were get separated by birth or in young age, growing up in a different environment, and one was getting cancer and the other was not getting cancer. So then it is not in the genes, right? Then it is in the environment, in the lifestyle. And I can give the example with the power of the mind, with my aunt when she was young, terminal sick. The doctor say to my uncle, 6 more months. And she lived 3 more years until both sons were graduated from high school. Power of the mind. So she had set her mind, I want to know that my boys are going okay. And when they finish high school and they come to college or additional education, then I know everything is fine. The job is done. And then she left. My mom, when she visited me in Bangkok, a little bit of sad story. So we had an accident, and she just had a broken bone in the hip. So normally you would not die from an hip bone. Okay, but all the people, then you get not active because you could not walk. So for 8 weeks laying down in the bed, and on the moment that you start physical therapy, the blood prop come to the brain and she passed. That is not the story. That is not the story. She did know already before she came to me that she would not come back. How could she know?
That's the question. Yeah. How did she know?
Because we are all connected. I know here. So you have many. Let's come on. For sure, also familiar a near-death experience or psychic mediums that connect with something out of our world, in the spiritual world. You have many shamans that they take some natural drug, mushrooms or flowers, whatever, that help them to get connected, right? In South America, that they have this brew from all herbs and whatever. Most people they go there and they vomit in the experience, but they get connected with something higher than themselves that they can explain. So even in science, they already say, do you think that all your thoughts or your self-talk in your head, that it is you, that it is your voice, your thoughts? How many times? And for sure, in African culture, you must also have it. Your guardian spirit, your guardian angel, your guide. So how many times when you think something or you have your inner self conversation, is it really you? Or how many of the ideas that you get, are it really your ideas? Or did you get it out of what is above us, around us? There's no emptiness. How many times you hear from people that still connected or feel that people that are past are still around us? Some some people are not ready to leave. So you have a Western medical doctor, and he examined already for the last 30 years near-death experience. He have experience with thousands of people. And of course, when they come from a Western Christian culture, then they experience a little bit the same thing. So they were clinical death by an accident or whatever for a certain time. And they all have similar experience that like a homecoming. And if people say, "Oh, bullshit," then I say, "Oh, but you're religious, right? You believe in your holy book. That also are just stories, not proven. So why you believe that? Why the other part not?" And actually, in your book, there are many references that are uh, support what science is now finding. You see, even now with AI and quantum computing, that now many things come where in the past more spiritual people were talking about. With quantum computing, they give the computer some assignment, and the computer came with much more back that they say, where did he get this answers? Because quantum computer is filled with the data, right? The data, what is available, but this answer, what came back, that could not be from the data. So where did he get it? From another dimension? And in science, they already say they already confirm more or less 12 dimensions. I think it is an infinite number what we have.
So are you more inclined to scientific perspective of life or spirituality, or are there differences even between the two? You already say you are not religious. Could you clarify that point a little bit further?
Okay, not religious. I would say I'm more. In the past, I would say jokefully, I'm a spiritual atheist. And as an atheist, I mean I don't believe in what the people in the church want to tell me, because they are taught to explain, in this case then the Bible, they are taught to explain what they read in the Bible in a certain way. But I see now already I follow Paul Wallace, and he was for 30 years a priest in the Catholic Church, and he was a teacher there. So he was a specialist in the book of Genesis. Now I learned that you have many books that are not in the Western Bible, but for example in the Ethiopian Bible. So why are the books not there? Because of censorship. It didn't serve the purpose to keep people under control in a certain way. Because if you take these books, then they also talk about beings. Most likely what we now with our understanding would say that are beings from outer space, from another dimension, space travelers. At that time, of
The
course, they didn't
aliens.
have the understanding, so they would say then
You mean the aliens?
yeah, aliens, but it doesn't have to be aliens. What if science is still there, but is science first, or is our spiritual knowledge first? And help the spiritual knowledge to put it in a scientific project so that we can use it in our life. So sometimes, what if some of these aliens, what we classify as aliens, are our future self that come here to warn us to do certain things different so that we don't lose our life, right? You see now people, they talk about with the chips in your brain. Yeah, it have a purpose for people that have some physical problem, and so that they can function. Doesn't mean that a healthy person must put a chip in his head so that he can think faster, so that he's almost an hybrid person. We can think way faster when we touch if we develop back our powers to connect with the quantum field.
But why do we need to think faster? Where are we getting fast to?
Well, people, everything want to in the Western world, they want everything fast, right? So that's why you see, if you take all this weight loss program, in 6 weeks, in 12 weeks, and you will be there. For me, in the past, I was not specialized in weight loss, but I always say improve your health. And I said, you will lose some weight, but then think about this. Did you gain this weight in the last 4 weeks, in the last 6 weeks, in the last 12, or was it in the last 10 years? So why you do expect to lose the weight in the next 10 weeks in a healthy way and keep it off? Impossible. I mean, you can lose the weight, but in a healthy way. So you don't want to destroy or make your body compromise, so that you compromise your immune system, and then you will get sick, and then you stop training again, or take care of yourself because you need to recover from your sickness. So that's why mind power, the power of the mind, is underestimated by most people. They know about it, but they put it to the side. So when I say natural medicine, it doesn't mean that the Western medicine have no space. But now these days, they want to diminish natural healing because they want to make money. It is only about greed. More. Why a company cannot be successful to sustain on a certain level? You know, if you work in a company and you get every month your salary where you can normally live from, then you are happy. If I saw this week from richest sultans around the world, but take the sultan from Brunei. He has so many extreme luxury cars that he can for years drive every day in a different car. And okay, if he has so much money, I know that he take care of his country fellow. They have free medication, free schooling, and all that kind of things. So it is not that he only consume for himself. But for me, just think about the environment to produce so many cars that are not used, that just standing in a garage as a stamp when you were still having the mail with stamps on it, and that you was collecting stamps.
Where are all these ideas coming from? Looking at maybe as a society that was supposed to grow and to anyway able to grow, that was also need to be understood, growing too, because we didn't originate all the idea. You were saying that also. I've interviewed a lot of experts on African spirituality. That is what they have confirmed to me, that when you say it is my idea, it is not really your idea. You are getting idea. You are not generating idea in the sense that the idea are coming to you, which is a confirmation to what you are saying, that it's a frequency. You are tapping into something.
Yes.
You are not the source. You are merely connecting so that your head then appear like an antenna that is connected to an original source.
Yes.
So it means that we do not know everything. We shouldn't pretend to know everything. We should care about where we live, because this is where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
We should make it better than how we meet it. If we consume the earth, what I'm trying to say is that is that not supposed to reflect in the way we develop the society, our production, so that whatever we are doing should not lead to the demise of the nature that we find? That is actually my curiosity, my perplexity. Where did this idea of consuming everything come from?
It is infused by us, right? Same what I say before in other topic, but by the programs on TV, the commercials. In the past, maybe we had more magazines with when you had your magazine about music or whatever, and there were all kind of advertise in it. So you get programmed by what you see, what you consume, with the people you talk. And in the Netherlands, you could always see it from if one person in the same neighborhood, or let's say in the same street, one of your neighbors would buy a new car, in the same quarter, some other neighbors would also have a new car. Because, hey, they must show that I can afford it. I'm good. I'm financially stable. I don't drive this car because I cannot afford another one, so I buy a new one. So you see it now also, let's make it smaller. Mobile phones. Every year you get an upgraded version from the same phone. Sometimes the specifications are so little that for 98% it is still the same phone as the year before. But now it is the number 12 or the number 13 or the number 16, because they not even give a model name. They just give a different number. I'm still, from my phone that I enjoy, okay, now it started to give some problems. It is the number 6 and the number 13 is just came out. So they will say that I have my phone for 6 years and it was working fine. For 6 years, I could do everything, all the updates, all the programs. Now I get some programs with the AI that say the operating system for my phone is not suitable for this app. Okay, then I say, okay, then I work with other apps that do similar things. But okay, now my screen starts sometimes to freeze. So I think now I need slowly to check for the upgrade. But hey, that is 6 years. Some people, they buy every 6 months another phone. And they forget that in the phones and in the batteries, there are precious metals that come from the earth, rare metals that are not so available as other things. So then you must also have recycling. Otherwise, we are running out with more and more that we need with all this AI and robotic. Do I against it? No. If certain things will complicate complement and make our life better, we as humans, we are not created to only work, sleep, and eat. We are the creators. But if you are so occupied with things to keep yourself alive, so I looking forward to what AI and robotic bring us, and people get out of a job. Great. So then finally you can start learning to use your brain and connect again with what you just say source. With our Akasi records is a name that I hear, where every information from everything is there, and you can tap into it and find what you need to more creative to create a better life. And we create a life by a better way of thinking.
Which is to say, therefore, that everything that is created, of course, this is what I say quite often here, is coming from the original source. I will usually put it like this, that the same technology that we have today, talking of AI and the rest of it, they are built upon the technology that was needed to set up the very foundation of the pyramid. Because without those same foundation, the pyramid cannot be set up. Because you see, these are structures that have been built thousands of years. Today, they are still marvel to us in the world. It is a marvel because it needs to be perfectly set up. So that even with the tools of the age of today, we are still wondering the perfection in it. You cannot get that perfection if you don't get the thinking right. If the mathematics is not correct. Internet is based on mathematics because now you are adding plus, minus, 2, asterisk, quarter, circle. Those are the numbers. They are the same. We're just rearranging there and we are coming out with something new.
Well, even with the numbers, are you familiar with Terrence Howard, a Black American movie star? But he is also very scientific, and he come with totally new ideas because the flower of life. He say many things in science, they look two-dimensional. So when you talk about numbers, he also then say with the the root from, and he come with different calculations, because he say people always look in two-dimensional, but life is not two-dimensional. So I saw him last time on a podcast, and then was also a Chinese scientist working 17 years for NASA, and he did agree with him. So even for me, in my school time, I was learning about atoms and molecules, and it looks almost like our universe, how the planets circle around, right? But it is not. It is all vibration. It is all energy. So when you're talking about source, what if the source want to get as much as possible different experience? And even so many humans have a quite similar experience, but then I love what they say here, same, but different, right? So that is the same when I say I don't like when someone explain me how I should read the book, because everybody put 10 people reading the same book, and then they must talk about what they did read, how was the story. You will hear 10 slightly different stories. Still the main players are in the story, but it is slightly different because every person was perceiving the story in his own personal way. So what if we are energetic beings that have a biological experience? So that's why we have our vehicle, our body. That is how we move around. Because in this body, this biological body, we can have so many experience sensations that we could not experience as an energetic being. So we could not taste chocolate. We could not feel the warmth when you hold someone in love. You could not feel the sunshine on your skin. You could not feel pain when you get cut by a knife or stuff like that. And everybody experiences similar things in a different way. So what if these people that say we are energetic beings, source of energy, put in a biological machine to have a biological experience? And if source, it would be very arrogant to say that we are the only intellect living beings in the universe. And what if
And how can that even be? I think that is really arrogant in the sense that we haven't been able to explore the vastness of the universe, something that we don't know, even the vastness. How can we make an accurate calculation that there is nothing there, that it is not possible? That is even wrong to even assert.
So even there, right now, they always talk about the distance. So I see already that people explain, and then I say, how do they know this? Or are there already intellect beings here on Earth connecting with scientists and stuff like that? And that's where we get our knowledge from. And they could travel what they say is 1,000 light years away. They travel in a conscious way. They see already from where they want to be, and on that moment they are there, because like I say in the beginning, time is an illusion, right? The past, the present, and the future is all at the same time. So we limit ourselves by putting labels and boxes, what is possible and what is not possible. And that's why you have this magnificent beings like Tesla. I mean, not the company Tesla from present day, no, Nikola Tesla, the scientist, or Einstein, or whatever great beings you had. And now these are just some Western names, but in every culture you have amazing beings that did things and know things way ahead of the time. In Africa, I'm familiar with what is it? The Hadza, I think. It's a tribe that lives.
What of Ihorte, the multi-genius?
Elon is, in his way, he's a genius because he see the problem, he analyzed the problem, and he find the right people to solve the problem. And he's then the catalyst to keep people moving, right? So if I take that back in sport, a great coach doesn't have to be a great sports person in the sense that he could do the same records. He must just get the best out of a person that is gifted genetics to develop a certain body, and that he could break this record as a runner or a lifter or swimmer or cyclist or whatever. You need to have great coaches to push great sport people to things that are, well, out of reach for most people, right? And of course they train hard for it and stuff like that, but you must be a certain character to bring yourself to that.
Thank you so much, Tommy. It has really been a very good conversation today. Just because I have another episode, I would like to continue this conversation. So, of course, that means we're going to come back again next time.
Yeah.
So, what would be your final thought, very briefly, to end today's conversation?
My final thought would be be more open-minded. Don't see everything as an absolute truth. Nothing is absolute. It is only absolute until you find out that it is not absolute. I like from one of my coaches, one of my mentors, he had the word rules. It is a combination from bullshit rules. We all learn our own rules, our own little box idea in the culture, in the environment that we grow up. And for me, I learned by being on different places around the planet and now living for 2.5 decades in Asia, that many things that I thought were absolute in my little environment in the Netherlands were not so absolute. You must have a different view of life and be more open and don't see that what you learn in your little environment, that is how it should be.
Mr. Tommy, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure talking with you.
It was a
Thank
pleasure
you very
to
much.
be a guest again, and looking forward to our next conversation.